Today we're going to talk about witchy reads to cozy up with on a cold and dark night. I love witchy and magical books, so I wanted to tell you about some of my favorites. First up, we have The Crescent Moon Tea Room by Stacy Savinsky. This book follows three clairvoyant sisters. Ever since the untimely death of their parents, Anne, Beatrix, and Violet Quigley have made a business of threading together the stories that rest in the swirls of ginger, cloves, and cardamom that lie at the bottom of their customers' cups. Their days at the tea shop are filled with talk of butterflies and good fortune, intertwined with the sound of cinnamon shortbread being snapped by laced fingers. That is, until the Council of Witches comes calling with news that the city diviner has lost her powers, and the sisters suddenly find themselves being pulled in different directions. As Anne's magic begins to develop beyond that of her sisters, Beatrix's writing attracts the attention of a publisher, and Violet is enchanted by the song of the circus. And perhaps a mischievous trapeze artist threatening to sweep her off her feet. It seems a family curse that threatens to separate the sisters is taking effect. With dwindling time to rewrite their future and help three other witches rewrite their destinies, the Quigleys set out to bargain with fate. But in focusing so closely on saving each other, will they lose sight of themselves? And it's very cute and magical. It's sad, it's sweet. There's lots of lovely food descriptions, and it's just very cute and cozy. And I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Next up, we have The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. And this book I read very recently. This is the second book I read by this author, and I really like this author. She writes, so far, what I've read, very cute and cozy and magical books. So this one follows this character, Sarah Swan, and she used to be one of the most powerful witches in Britain. Then she resurrected her great aunt Jasmine from the very recently dead. She lost most of her magic when she did this, befriended a semi-villainous fox, and was exiled from her guild. Now, she slightly reluctantly and just a bit grumpily helps Jasmine run an enchanted inn in Lancashire, where she deals with her quirky guest shenanigans, tries to keep said talking fox in check, easier said than done, and longs for the future that seems lost to her. But then she finds out about an old spell that could hold the key to restoring her power. Enter Luke Larson, handsome and icy magical historian, who arrives on a dark winter evening and just might know how to unlock the spell's secrets. Luke has absolutely no interest in getting involved in the madcap going-ons of the inn and is definitely not about to let a certain bewitching innkeeper past his walls. So, no one is more surprised than he when he agrees to help Sarah with her spell. Worse, he might actually be thawing. Running an inn, reclaiming lost magic, and staying one step ahead of the Watchful Guild is a lot for anyone. But Sarah Swan is about to discover that she doesn't have to do it alone, and that the weird, wonderful family she's made might be the best magic of all. Is this one of those books where you learn that what you were searching for this whole time was right there all along? Well, yeah, it kind of is. Highly enjoyed my time in the pages. I like this author quite a bit. Her other book that I read was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Also, super cute book. Loved that one as well. All right, so next up we have Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. And this is an author that was recommended to me by someone who watches the channel. And I've read several of her books. They are always magical and lovely. There is a second book that comes after this one. So the premise for this is the Waverleys have always been a curious family, endowed with peculiar gifts that make them outsiders in their hometown of Bascom, North Carolina. Even their garden has a reputation, famous for its feisty apple tree that bears prophetic fruit, and its edible flowers imbued with special powers. Generations of Waverleys have tended this garden, and their history is in the soil, but so are their futures. A successful caterer, Claire Waverley prepares dishes made with her mystical plants, from the nasturtiums that aid in keeping secrets and the pansies that make children thoughtful, to the snapdragons intended to discourage the attentions of her amorous neighbor. Meanwhile, her elderly cousin, Evanelle, is known for distributing unexpected gifts whose uses become uncannily clear. They're the last of the Waverleys, except for Claire's rebellious sister, Sydney, who fled Bascom the moment she could, abandoning Claire, as their own mother had years before. When Sydney suddenly returns home with a young daughter of her own, Claire's quiet life is turned upside down, along with a protective boundary that she has so carefully constructed around her heart. Together again in the house they grew up in, Sydney takes stock of all she left behind as Claire struggles to heal the wounds of the past. As soon the sisters realize they must deal with their common legacy if they are ever to feel at home in Bascom or with each other. And Claire has super abandonment issues, and she has to try to overcome those with Sydney, because she's like, you're just going to leave again. Sydney's like, no, I'm not. But how is she supposed to believe her when all Cindy ever did was leave? So, all right, next up we have a very cozy, Rosy, and nosy read. And that is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And this book is lovely. It is a book about found family, and there is magical, delicious foods in this. And then she also has another book called The Enchanted Greenhouse, also another fantastic witchy book that's kind of in the same universe as this. I wouldn't necessarily call it a sequel. It almost is kind of a sequel, but not really, because it's not the same characters, but there's mention of the same characters. So, let me tell you what this one's about. Kayla has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian of the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant, Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, has spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spellbooks, preserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spellbooks that they can carry and head to a remote island Kayla never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Taking refuge there, she discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy and very handsome neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and help fix up her new home. And in need of income, she identifies something that even the bakery in town doesn't have: jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries. But magic can do more than make life a little sweeter, so Kayla risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop. It's lovely, it's sweet, it's cozy and rosy and nosy, and there's a cute romance in it. All right, next up we have Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill, and this is a witchy book. It's also kind of a fantasy, but I still consider it cozy and witchy because it is. Beneath the still surface of a lake lurks a monster with needle-sharp teeth, hungry and ready to pounce. Jenny Greenteeth has never spoken to a human before, but when a witch is thrown into her lake, something makes Jenny decide she's worth saving. Temperance doesn't know why her village has suddenly turned against her, only that it has something to do with the malevolent new pastor. Though they have nothing in common, these two must band together on a magical quest to defeat the evil that threatens Jenny's lake and Temperance's family, as well as the very soul of Britain. This is a magical, I don't want to call it Wizard of Oz. It's magical and whimsical and emotional and heartfelt and sweet. It was a little eccentric. I find a lot of books sometimes fall into more than one category. So a cozy, witchy fantasy. I think I have a standalone review for this one. I will link that down below in the description if you want to check that out. And then I feel like my list would not be complete if I did not mention this book, even though I feel like I mention it way too much. Maybe I don't mention it enough. My favorite cozy witchy book is Cackle by Rachel Harrison. It's so lovely. I love this book so much. It's such an addictive read, and it's so freaking good. So, all of her life, Annie has played it nice and safe. After being unceremoniously dumped by her longtime boyfriend, Annie seeks a fresh start. She accepts a teaching position that moves her from Manhattan to a small village upstate. She's stunned by how perfect and picturesque the town is. The people are all friendly and warm. Her new apartment is dreamy too, minus the oddly persistent spider infestation. Then Annie meets Sophie, beautiful, charming, magnetic Sophie, who takes a special interest in Annie, who wants to be her friend. More importantly, she wants Annie to stop apologizing and start living for herself. That's how Sophie lives. Annie can't help but gravitate toward the self-possessed Sophie, wanting to spend more and more time with her, despite the fact that the rest of the townfolk seem a little afraid of her. And okay, there are some things. Sophie's appearance is uncanny and ageless. Her mansion in the middle of the woods feels a little unearthly, and it might be haunted. And she does seem to wield a certain power, but she couldn't be. Could she? Wow, this book is called Cackle. What do you think? It's about learning to love yourself and not to pigeonhole yourself into what you think others want you to be, and finding true happiness with you before you can share happiness with another person. And it's absolutely fantastic. Like the writing, the addictiveness of the read, the cuteness, the coziness, and just the whole like moral of the story is really and truly fantastic. So these are some of my favorite cozy witchy reads. Like sometimes you want a nice cozy book on a cold winter's night, or just a cold night in general, or a dark and stormy night, or to read in the dark. I'm not saying you can't read these in the summer, because you can, but right now it's cold and dark at like 5 p.m. and I hate it. And so sometimes, you know, you want something cozy to curl up with. Let me know if you have any favorite cozy witchy books, because I'm always looking for more. I love them. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.